We got a brand new glaive today with a new exotic mission, and honestly, it is really good. Now, I'm not even gonna lie, I already had another video planned out for today, but once this random exotic got found, decided I probably needed to make a video on this, and it pairs so well with the Void Titan, with all of its perks that it has, and it is a load of fun to mess around with. All right, so just jump right into it. This glaive is called the VEXCALIBUR. It has the exotic perk M1R Distribution Matrix. It says fires a spread equipped with a quick draining shield. Blocking damage with your shield gradually bestows void overshields to yourself and nearby allies. So the shot from this is actually going to shoot out in this cross-looking spread instead of it just being a single shot, and it does drain very quick. But like it said, when you do have some shield charge, you will grant yourself an overshield to yourself and your allies while that shield is draining. This is a void overshield, so this can heavily play into Void 3.0 with your aspects and fragments. And then it also does have another perk called Perpetual Loophole. So deal additional melee damage while protected by an overshield. Defeating targets with melee phantom blows while the overshield is active will refresh it. So obviously the other trait is to get your overshield, and then this one is about making, when you have an overshield, you're going to do more melee damage. But what's really cool is that no matter how much overshield you have, it can literally be one, or it can be all the way max. Every single kill you get will actually put that overshield back to max. That is extremely strong for survivability, and then obviously you will keep your extra melee damage up all the time. And overall on its own, it is just a very good exotic glaive. Now obviously we can take that even further by playing Titan and running the Synthesubs exotic, because this has the exotic trait Biotic Enhancements. Increases melee lunge range, improved melee and super damage when you're surrounded. So the way this is going to work, when you're surrounded by enemies, you're going to get a lot more melee damage. This will stack on top of the glaive, giving you the extra melee damage with the overshield. And as you can probably already guess, with a bunch of other Synthesub builds we've had in the past, it does a lot of damage. You can pretty much instant destroy champions, do a bunch of boss damage, and literally anything else in the game almost dies to one shot every single time, while always refreshing that overshield and making the survivability extremely strong. Now in our subclass, a main aspect we need to talk about is Bastion. So what this is going to do, when you put your barricade down, it will actually grant you an overshield, and you will regenerate your overshield when you're standing behind the barricade over time. Now you might think that you have to use the overshield from the glaive to get that extra melee damage, but it works with any void overshield. So since Bastion is granting you a void overshield when you cast your class ability, that means you will get the extra melee damage with that shield. You don't even have to use the actual exotic perk on the glaive to get the overshield. You can literally use any form of ability to give you an overshield, and Bastion just works extremely well with that. Now the other aspect doesn't matter too much. I'm just running controlled demolition. Since I'm going to have a bunch of grenades, I can just kind of have that as an ad clear. It's also going to weaken enemies once we get into our fragments. But if you want to run offensive bulwark, you can, but just note that the extra melee damage you do get from offensive bulwark does not work with glaives. You will get that increased grenade cooldown rate, which is good, but we're going to have Devour anyway, so you don't really have to worry about that. But you can run this if you want to, but honestly I just like controlled demolition, so you can just have volatile everywhere with your abilities. Now I'm going to be running scatter grenade because they actually did buff this to have a lower cooldown, and scatter grenades are already really good for just securing a single kill, which is what you want to do. Now Water Dawn is great because when you're inside it, you're going to get an overshield, and that weapon damage will actually buff the glaive as well, so you can just go pop a bubble on any boss and just go at them with a glaive. Now the thing to note is that if you are blocking and meleeing at the same time, you will actually swing the glaive a little bit faster. So if you're having a situation where you are trying to get as much DPS as possible, always block and swing. Never swing and not block, because you just swing faster, because it's just the way the game works. Now I'd highly recommend running Rally Barricade, because this is going to have a lower cooldown than Towering Barricade, which means you can spam Bastion more often. And honestly, for your melee, you can go between Shield Throw or Shield Bash. Shield Bash will actually suppress targets, which will stun Overload champions, which is cool, but you don't really need that with some other stuff we're going to be running. And Shield Throw would just grant you Overshield with a smaller cooldown. So it's kind of just whatever you want to run. Both are grant Overshield, which is good. Now for fragments, I have Echo of Undermining, so my void grenades will weaken targets. This just means the scatter grenade will secure a kill a whole lot easier, and on top of that, you can throw this on a boss to weaken them, so you can do even more damage. It is a 15% damage debuff. Now Echo Persistence, so all the void buffs that are applied to me, things like invisibility, overshield, and devour will last longer. So this means now my overshield that constantly refreshes all the time will just last a little bit longer. This is good from getting to area if you need to keep that overshield up. And also this just means you will get more melee damage if the overshield does stay up. The overshield gives you 50% damage reduction, which is extremely strong, and you can pretty much have it up at all times with this build. Now, Echo of Starvation is the last fragment, so when you pick up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power, you'll be granted Devour. I think we all know how strong orbs are at this point in the game. They're pretty much everywhere. Everybody is spamming them, so you're always going to have Devour all the time. And what's really cool is that you can probably go on to tell, obviously Echo of Persistence will also give you extra Devour time and extra Overshield time, so you're just going to have a permanent Overshield and Devour. And if you don't know what Devour does, every time you get a kill, it will give you some grenade energy and heal you to full. So every single time you get a melee kill with the glaive, you're getting a constant refresh of maximum health and maximum overshield that lasts 15 seconds. So that means you'll have 15 seconds to get another kill, which again will refresh your health, overshield, and you're getting grenade energy. It is really, really strong. Now, other weapons to pair with this, honestly, you can run whatever power weapon you want to. I just have an Eager Red Sword right now just to get around the map faster because my boss damage is really just coming from VEXCALIBUR itself, but obviously you can throw literally whatever you want to on here. A cool thing to run is something like Riptide, so you have Choke Clip to take down Overload and Unstoppable champions, so one gun alone can deal with 2 champions, which is really, really good. Now for artifact mods, nothing really matters too much from this. Honestly, the only thing maybe is like Bricks from Beyond and Shatter Orb, so you can just get orbs when you break shields that matches your weapon's element. And then Bricks from Beyond, maybe it'll give you some more power ammo. Literally nothing really matters. If you want to take Medieval Champion, so your glaive can always be overcharged in certain activities and it will have Unstoppable, that could be really, really good, and I would recommend trying to unlock that. Now for stats, 100 resilience, so you can get that barricade back as fast as possible, and then also you're getting that 30% damage reduction on top of what the overshield is giving. And then I go with the 100 discipline because with Devour and everything else, you're just going to be able to spam a scatter grenade, which is going to help out a lot with ad clear. Now these are the mods I'm running if you like to copy them down and figure everything out for yourself, but I'm going to heavily be focused on grenades. And starting off with the helmet, I'm going to be running a Void Siphon. So when I get rapid weapon final blows to the Void weapon, aka the glaive, I'll make an orb. So what's really cool in the way I'm kind of like viewing this is that when you're using the glaive, getting damage is obviously going to give you your shield charge. If you get 2 kills, that'll make the orb. You can pick the orb up to get Devour. And then since you have the shield charge, you can then consume that to get your overshield. And now you have your Void, overshield, and Devour up immediately just by getting 2 kills, which is really, really good. Now, also I'm going to be running Ashes to Assets. Since I'm going to be able to spam grenades, this will get my super energy up, which is really good for taking down bosses or champions, anything you need. You can pop your Ward of Dawn. So having double Ashes to Assets is really, really nice for this build because, again, you just get a bunch of extra super energy. Now for my arms, I'm going to be running a firepower, so whenever I get final blows to my grenade, I'll make an orb. Now my scatter grenade will be able to make orbs alongside my glaive. Again, orbs will proc Devour. It will give you armor charge, which will help out a little bit in this build, and it will also just grant you some extra super energy. Now boss range detonation, so I get some class ability energy when I do damage with the grenade. So kind of how you want to do this when you go into a boss fight, put down your bastion so you get an overshield, then you can throw your grenade to weaken that target, and on top of that, that grenade will grant you some class ability energy back, which just means you'll get your barricade back a lot faster. Now for resistant mods, run whatever you want to. Again, always be sure to know what enemies that you're fighting, whatever activity. You can swap these in and out. You have so many options that you can run, and you can just cover everything in the game. Now for boots, I'm actually going to be running a Absolution with Innervation and Insulation. Absolution will give me cooldown for all my abilities when I pick up an orb. Innervation will give me a bunch of grenade energy when I pick up an orb, and then Insulation will give me class ability energy. Obviously, the main things you want to spam are your class ability and grenade. So putting all these 3 together will just give you a bunch of energy. And since we're not really taking advantage of weapon surge mods, if you want to do this for your power weapon, you could, but since this is heavily focused on the glaive, I just like running these so I can just make sure I have those abilities up as much as possible. Now finally, I do have a bomber, so when I pop my barricade, I will get some grenade energy. Again, popping that barricade gets grenade energy, weaken the target with the grenade, get some class ability energy. Now I am also running double utility Hickstar. Now I am going to swap one of these out, but what this does is when you pop your class ability, you will get some energy back. If you have armor charge, it will consume that and give you a lot more. This is very, very good since this is really the only thing playing into your armor charge. You will just always get as much class ability back as you possibly can. Now I will be swapping one of these out for Reaper when it does come back enabled. So when you use your class ability, you'll make an orb. So that means you will have 3 different ways to make orbs, which is obviously going to be really good to help keep your Devour up. You're going to get armor charge for your 1 utility kickstart. You're going to get all your cooldown for all these mods right here. And overall, you're going to be getting a bunch of super energy as well because you're just picking orbs up. But that is honestly the build. The main part of it is just with VEXCALIBUR. You just want to keep your overshield up as much as possible so this can do as much damage. You can then also play into grenades like I've chosen to do. You don't have to do this. You can play into pretty much anything you want to, but overall everything just pairs so well with Sentinel to be able to keep that infinite overshield and Devour up. And obviously Synthesubs also carries in this because you just get so much melee damage. Now, like I do in all these videos, this is the transmog I'm running. I definitely tried to make my Titan look as much like a Vex as I could. I think this did a pretty good job. I was honestly trying to make it look more like the VEXCALIBUR, but this is just what I ended up on because I think it's pretty clean. And if you just want to make your Titan look like that, there you go. But all right, I think that is going to do it all for me. Let me know what you all thought about the secret mission, and I will have a dim link to this build in the description below if you all would like to check it out over there. And if you all did enjoy and learn anything new, consider subscribing, drop a like, and turn those notifications on. Also, if you like joining my Discord or following any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and that every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.